Jesus Christ, can you come down to me today? Prove yourself. Where are you?
On February 5th, 2022, just moments after American comedian Heather McDonald made jokes mocking God and ridiculing Christianity during a live comedy show, something unexpected happened. She collapsed on stage and was immediately rushed to the hospital. Trust me, you won't believe what happened afterwards. Stay tuned for the rest of the story and more. Here was what Extentation said.
For a fucking year from now, all of these people will be worshiping me.
And 1 year later, he died. The Christian Bible, the Muslim Quran, and the Jewish Tanakh all have strong teachings about mocking God and the serious consequences that can follow. The Muslims do not joke with their God. They could kill you if you make jest of their God. Hence, people hardly do that for fear of being attacked or lynched. Christians, on the other hand, take a different approach. While they don't seek personal vengeance, leaving judgment to God, the Bible makes it clear that God does not tolerate mockery. Regardless of your beliefs, disrespecting God is something he despises. The Bible speaks to this in Galatians 6:7, which warns, "Do not be deceived, God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows." No matter how rich, powerful, or famous someone may be, that does not give them the right to mock or challenge the authority of the Almighty. In today's video, we'll take a look at famous celebrities and influential figures who mocked God and paid bitterly for it, with consequences that affected both their lives and careers. But before we begin, I would like to welcome you to our newly created channel. We're thrilled to have you join us on this incredible journey. Here, you'll find captivating and enriching contents and stories crafted with love and dedication just for you. We want you to feel right at home and enjoy every moment with us. To help us grow and continue bringing you top-quality videos, we ask that you please hit that subscribe button. That would go a long way toward growing our little community, and together we can build a large community for Christ. God bless you as you do. Now let's dive right in. Throughout history, many famous individuals have experienced a fall from grace after mocking or disregarding God. Some of these people were at the peak of their careers, admired by millions, only to face severe consequences that left some dead and some broken and regretful. Whether they mocked God's existence, power, or influence, their stories serve as a powerful reminder that no one is immune to the forces beyond human control. Number 1 on our list is John Lennon. John Lennon, one of the most iconic figures in music history, was known for his bold statements and controversial views. In 1966, during an interview with a British newspaper, Lennon made a remark that would become one of the most infamous quotes in rock history. He said, "We're more popular than Jesus now. I don't know which will go first, rock and roll or Christianity." Lennon's statement sparked outrage, particularly in the United States, where many Christian groups called for a boycott of the Beatles' music. While Lennon later claimed he was simply making an observation about the band's popularity, his words were perceived as a direct challenge to the power and influence of religion. These words were greeted with anger and outrage from his fans and family around the world. People set their vinyl and posters on fire to show how angry they were. This led to the collapse of the Beatles in 1970. In the years following this controversy, Lennon went through a period of personal turmoil. He experienced a significant amount of emotional pain, including struggles with addiction and marital issues. Many believe that his spiritual journey, which involved searching for peace and meaning, was shaped by the events that followed his mocking comments. Tragically, on December 8, 1980, John Lennon was shot 6 times in his head by one of his fans in front of his house, and he died on the spot. Don't forget, he mocked God in 1966 and was shot 6 times in 1980. He was shot and killed outside his apartment building in New York City. While it is impossible to say definitively whether his early comments about Jesus contributed to his tragic death, Some have speculated that his untimely passing could be seen as a consequence of the way he mocked religion and spirituality in his youth. Lennon's story is one of deep reflection and regret, and many fans and observers believe that, had he lived longer, he might have re-evaluated his earlier words. In any case, his life and death remind us of the unpredictable consequences of mocking something as sacred as faith. Number 2 on our list is American rapper XXXTentacion. In an interview in 2017, American rapper XXXTentacion said this.
Bro, a fucking year from now, all of these people will be worshiping me.
And 1 year later, on June 18th, 2018, he was shot dead. The third on our list is American comedian Heather McDonald. In February 2022, American comedian Heather McDonald collapsed on stage after making a joke which mocked Jesus Christ and Christianity. Specifically, she was mocking those Christians who would rather rely on Jesus to protect them against the COVID-19 virus than take the vaccine. At first, her audience laughed, thinking the collapse was part of the comedy sketch. But it was later discovered that she had fractured her skull and became unconscious. In the video, McDonald collapses just moments after saying she is vaccinated, boosted, and still has her period, proclaiming that she hasn't contracted the COVID-19 virus. She said, "Clearly Jesus loves me. Seriously, so nice, so nice." The next moment she stumbles, rolls her eyes and falls unconscious, hitting her head on the stage floor. The audience can be heard laughing as apparently everyone assumed it was all part of the act. Her sister had her rushed to the hospital where she was revealed she had fractured her skull. The reason for her collapse is still unknown. And at the fourth spot on our list is Marilyn Monroe. One could say she had the kind of life everyone would wish for, with a great amount of wealth and fame. One day, while filming, Marilyn Monroe was visited by Billy Graham. He told her that the Spirit of God had sent him to preach to her. After hearing what the preacher had to say, she said, and I quote, "I don't need your Jesus." A week after that incident, she was found dead in her bedroom. It is believed that she committed suicide. And next is Kanye West.
I'm God. And anyone who disagree, I'm the God of me.
Kanye West, a rapper and fashion mogul, is another famous person who has often made controversial statements, including mocking God in various ways. In one of his songs, Kanye made references that some people considered disrespectful to religious figures. He also referred to himself in godlike terms and made comments that blurred the lines between celebrity and divinity. Despite his success, Kanye has gone through a lot of personal struggles. His marriage fell apart, he faced mental health battles, and his career hit some rough patches. In interviews, he has opened up about his regrets and how his past behavior hurt his spiritual journey. Kanye has apologized for his actions, especially for mocking religion, and has spoken publicly about finding a deeper relationship with God. He has even created a gospel album and held public prayer events, showing his regret and desire to reconnect with faith.
God is better than the devil. The devil took all the producers, the musicians.
Many people believe Kanye's struggles and transformation were part of a bigger lesson, that mocking God comes with serious consequences, and true peace can only be found through humility and respect. And number 6 on our list is Thomas Andrews, Titanic shipbuilder. Thomas was inspired to build a grand ship greater than any other during his time. After building the mighty and famous Titanic ship, a reporter asked him how safe the ship would be. In reply to the question, Thomas said, "Even God himself couldn't sink the ship." After that statement, the Titanic set sail, and as we all know, the ship sank, leading to the loss of many lives. And the next is Tancredo Neves, the president of Brazil. During his presidential campaign, he said, "If I get 500,000 votes from my party, not even God will remove me from the presidency." He did get the votes, but he fell sick before he was made president, and at the 8th spots are the people of Brazil. In February 2023, the people of Brazil allegedly mocked God in one of their carnival displays and parades. The people of Brazil mocked God at the Rio de Janeiro Carnival Parade of 2023, and the wrath of God descended on them, like it did to the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, killing hundreds of people and displacing thousands from their homes. It is also believed that 7 days before the carnival, a strange lightning struck the Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro, the same city where the carnival would later take place. 7 days later, many saw this as a sign of God's warning, but they all failed to listen and had to face the consequences. Number 9 on our list is Lady Gaga.
Black Jesus! Black Jesus!
Lady Gaga, the pop icon known for her outrageous costumes and performances, has been known for pushing boundaries. At the height of her fame, she made several remarks about religion that stirred up controversy. One of her most famous incidents was during a performance where she wore a religious-themed outfit, sparking outrage from many religious groups. She was criticized for using religious symbols as fashion statements and making light of sacred beliefs. While she continued to enjoy great success, Lady Gaga faced personal challenges that made her reconsider her actions. She opened up about her struggles with depression, loneliness, and self-doubt. In interviews, she has admitted that some of her earlier actions, especially mocking religion, were mistakes. Lady Gaga later expressed regret for any harm her actions may have caused to people's faith, and she spoke about learning to respect different beliefs more deeply. Many fans saw this as a moment of growth for the singer, as she acknowledged that fame and success were not enough to fill the emptiness inside her. And at the 10th spot is Madonna. Madonna, one of the most famous pop stars of all time, has also been known to mock religious symbols and figures in her music and performances. One of the most controversial moments was her music video for the song Like a Prayer, in which she danced in front of burning crosses and used religious imagery in a provocative way. This angered many religious groups who accused her of blasphemy. Over the years, Madonna faced many personal struggles, including failed marriages and criticism of her changing image. As she grew older, she began to reflect more on her actions. In some interviews, she expressed regret over the pain her actions caused to religious communities. While she didn't entirely renounce her past, she admitted that her use of religious symbols had been a misguided attempt to make a statement, and she learned to be more mindful of her actions. Madonna's journey showed that even those at the top of their careers can face the consequences of mocking sacred things. And next is Kendrick Lamar. In June 2022, award-winning American rapper Kendrick Lamar made a surprise appearance at a concert in Glastonbury, dressed like Jesus Christ, protesting against the ruling on abortion in the United States. Recall that the Supreme Court in America had ruled that there is no constitutional right to abortion, and some persons protested against this ruling, including Kendrick Lamar. He came on stage dressed in white robes, wearing a crown of thorns with 8,000 diamonds on it, mimicking Jesus Christ's torture. As the song progressed, blood began to increasingly stream from his shirt and crown. Before he began to rap, he told the massive crowd of concert-goers, and I quote, "I wear this crown as a representation so that you never forget one of the greatest prophets that ever walked the earth. They judged you, they judged Christ." The star cried out, blood streaming down his cheeks from the crown of thorns, saying, "God speaks for women's rights. They judge you, they judge Christ." Not only that, but he also kept saying it with more vigor. He finally stopped mid-sentence, threw down his mic, and went off the stage. He was comparing these women advocating for women's right to Jesus Christ of Nazareth. And next is Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando, one of the greatest actors in Hollywood history, was known for his rebellious nature both on and off the screen. Brando, however, was not just a rebel in his personal life. He also held controversial views about religion and faith. He often mocked organized religion, and in particular Christianity. Brando's atheism was a well-known aspect of his personality, and he expressed disdain for the concept of a higher power in interviews. In one particularly striking interview, Brando declared, "The only religion I believe in is myself." He made no secret of his view that human beings could achieve greatness on their own, without the need for divine intervention. Brando's disregard for God and organized religion was evident throughout his life, and he was outspoken about his belief in the supremacy of human will. However, Brando's life took a darker turn as he grew older. He struggled with numerous personal tragedies, including the suicide of his daughter, Cheyenne Brando, and the strained relationships he had with his family. Brando's health also deteriorated, and he lived the latter part of his life in seclusion, reportedly suffering from depression. While Brando never publicly expressed regret for his mocking of God, his later years were marked by a deep sense of personal sorrow and isolation. His struggles, both personal and physical, left many wondering whether his mocking of religion had led to a life filled with pain and regret. His story serves as a reminder that no matter how powerful or famous one may be, mockery of faith and the rejection of a higher power can sometimes lead to profound loneliness and suffering. And at the number 13 is Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain, the lead singer and guitarist of the iconic rock band Nirvana, was known for his troubled life and deep internal struggles. Cobain's lyrics often reflected feelings of alienation, depression, and dissatisfaction with the world around him. Throughout his life, he was openly critical of organized religion, and many of his songs reflected his struggles with faith and spirituality. In an interview with a journalist in the early 1990s, Cobain remarked, "I'm not a religious person, but I'm a spiritual person." However, his spiritual journey was clearly conflicted. He expressed frustration with the idea of a higher power, especially as it related to the suffering he witnessed in the world. Cobain's disillusionment with religion was particularly evident in his song "Something in the Way," which conveyed feelings of hopelessness and despair. Cobain's personal battles with addiction, depression, and his turbulent relationship with fame ultimately led to his tragic death by suicide in 1994. While it is impossible to say if Cobain's rejection of faith contributed directly to his death, many fans and observers have speculated that his inner turmoil and lack of spiritual grounding played a role in his tragic end. Kurt Cobain's story highlights the pain of questioning faith and the devastating consequences that can arise from a lack of spiritual direction. His struggles and untimely death left many wondering how different his life might have been had he embraced spirituality and a belief in something greater than himself. And next is Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage, the well-known actor, had a run of major successes in Hollywood. However, during a time of excess and partying, Cage made several public comments that mocked religious faith. He often expressed his disregard for spirituality, calling it outdated and unimportant. But as Cage's personal life began to crumble, his marriages ended in divorce, his finances took a dive, and his career slowed down. He started to rethink his attitude. Cage spoke openly about feeling empty despite his fame and fortune. In interviews, he confessed that he wished he had been more respectful to those who followed religious paths. His regrets grew stronger as he faced the realities of life outside of Hollywood's glamour. Cage admitted that his mocking attitude toward faith was one of the factors that led him to lose touch with the things that truly mattered in life. And next is Emperor Nero, Nero, the infamous Roman emperor, is often remembered for his cruelty, extravagance, and cruelty toward early Christians. Historical accounts suggest that Nero not only mocked the idea of God, but also saw himself as a godlike figure. His reign was marked by madness, and he often publicly ridiculed the Christian faith and its followers. One of the most significant events that demonstrated Nero's defiance of God was his brutal persecution of Christians. He blamed them for the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD, despite there being no evidence to suggest they were responsible. Nero had many Christians arrested and tortured, some being burned alive, crucified, or thrown into the arena to be killed by wild animals. During this time, he mocked their faith, calling them godless for refusing to worship the Roman gods. However, Nero's reign did not last forever. As he continued to indulge in extravagance and cruelty, he became increasingly paranoid, which eventually led to his downfall. In 68 AD, faced with a rebellion from his own soldiers and the Senate, Nero was declared a public enemy. In a final act of desperation, Nero took his own life, ending a reign marked by defiance against God and humanity. Nero's story serves as a stark reminder that those who mock God and choose cruelty over compassion often face consequences that are harsh and irreversible. His downfall is often seen as divine retribution for his actions. And next is Voltaire. Voltaire, the famous French Enlightenment philosopher, was well known for his outspoken criticism of religion, particularly Christianity. He believed that the clergy and organized religion were oppressive forces that hindered progress and enlightenment. Voltaire's disdain for religion was often expressed in his writings, where he mocked God and religious leaders. One of his most famous quotes was, "If God did not exist, it would be necessary to invent him." He often criticized the Bible and the teachings of the Church, arguing that they were outdated and detrimental to human freedom. Voltaire's views were controversial at the time, and he faced a great deal of backlash from religious authorities. However, as Voltaire grew older and faced his own mortality, his views began to change. On his deathbed, Voltaire reportedly experienced a dramatic shift in his beliefs. According to some accounts, he expressed regret for his earlier mockery of God and religion. His final words, as reported by some witnesses, were, "I am abandoned by God and man. I will give you half of what I am worth if you will give me 6 more months of life." Though Voltaire never fully recanted his earlier writings, his deathbed regret has been interpreted by some as a sign of his realization that mocking God had led him to an empty and fearful end. His story illustrates the danger of mocking faith and the eventual confrontation with one's own mortality, which often leads to a re-evaluation of previously held beliefs. And next is King Nebuchadnezzar. One of the oldest and most profound stories about mocking God comes from the Bible, in the story of King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar was a powerful king, and he was known for his arrogance. One day, he looked out over his kingdom and boasted, "Is this not the great Babylon I have built by my mighty power and for the glory of my majesty?" That moment of pride was his downfall. The Bible tells us that God punished Nebuchadnezzar by making him lose his mind. For 7 years, he lived like an animal, eating grass and behaving as if he were no longer human. It was only after this period of suffering that Nebuchadnezzar came to his senses and acknowledged God as the true ruler of the world. He expressed deep regret for his earlier actions and praised God for his power and mercy. The stories of these famous individuals serve as a poignant reminder of the dangers of mocking or rejecting God. While each of these individuals had their own unique reasons for doing so, the consequences they faced were profound and irreversible. Whether through personal tragedy, emotional turmoil, or even death, the price of mocking a higher power can be incredibly steep. Though these individuals may have once ridiculed or ignored God, their stories are ultimately a powerful cautionary tale about the unpredictable and often devastating effects of disregarding spirituality and faith.